Hey everyone, welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to tackle this idea of perception is reality,
Okay.
but we're going to look at it from some pretty unique angles.
Oh, like what?
Well, we've got this blog post by Ira Warren Whiteside.
Okay.
We've also got this quote from the Gospel of Mary.
Interesting.
And believe it or not, we're even going to bring in a little Yoda wisdom.
All right, I'm intrigued. Yoda. Now, that's not something you hear every day.
Right. You never know where these deep dives are going to lead us, but that's part of the fun.
I agree. So let's start with this Ira guy. What's his take on perception and reality?
Well, his blog post is all about this intense experience he had with his wife, Tessie. A real life or death situation.
Wow, must have been pretty heavy.
Yeah, it really shook him up.
Yeah.
And it totally changed how he looked at the world. He even came up with this term, awarement, to describe what he learned from it.
Awarement.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious. What does that even mean?
He kind of compares it to reaching the peak of a mountain.
Oh, okay, I see.
Like, when you're climbing, you only see what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
But when you get to the top, you get this whole new perspective.
Makes sense. So he's talking about a broader kind of awareness, something that goes beyond just our immediate perceptions.
Exactly. He says it's like, awarement is more stable and informed.
It reminds me of mindfulness, actively shaping how we see things rather than just letting things happen to us.
Yeah, I can see that connection too.
Mhm.
So for Ira, perception is more fleeting and awarement is like a solid foundation you can build.
Interesting. So how does he think we should build this awareness?
Well, he puts a lot of emphasis on self-reflection
Uh-huh.
and understanding how our minds work. He's
Mm.
basically saying our minds don't just receive information, they actually shape our reality.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going.
And this is where that quote from the Gospel of Mary comes in.
All right, lay it on me. How does the Gospel of Mary fit into all of this?
Well, there's this part where it calls the mind a treasure, and it says the mind is the instrument we use to perceive visions. It's like it's almost echoing Ira's idea of awarement.
Yeah, I see that. If our minds are basically the lens through which we see everything, then understanding how that lens works becomes really important.
Right. But how do we even begin to understand how our own minds work? It's like trying to see your own eye without a mirror.
It's tricky, but maybe the first step is admitting that our perceptions don't always show us the whole picture.
You mean like we could be missing something?
Exactly. There's always more to see, more to understand beyond what we initially perceive.
Makes you wonder if we're all kind of living in a cave, mistaking shadows for the real thing.
Whoa, hold on. Now you're talking about Plato's allegory of the cave, right?
Right. The prisoners in that story only see shadows on the wall, and they think that's all there is.
It's a powerful analogy. Like, we can get so stuck in our limited perceptions that we think they're the absolute truth.
Definitely. So we've got Ira's experience, the philosophical angle from the Gospel of Mary, and now Plato showing us how we can be trapped by our perceptions.
Wow. That's a lot to unpack already.
I know, right? We haven't even gotten to Yoda yet.
Oh, yeah. What wisdom does the little green Jedi Master have to offer on all this?
Well, I think he brings in the action piece.
Action. How so?
You know, his famous line, do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah, one of the classics.
It sounds simple, but I think it's actually a really powerful way to look at how we can move past those limited perceptions.
Go on, I'm listening.
It's like he's saying we have to actually engage with the world, not just think about it.
So we can't just sit around in the cave.
Mm.
We have to get out there and experience things for ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where we might start to bump up against our assumptions and see things in a new light.
Like Ira climbing that mountain.
Yeah. But there's got to be more to it than just running around doing stuff, right?
You're right. We can't forget about the mindfulness piece. It's not enough to just do things. We need to be present in those experiences to really pay attention to what we're feeling and noticing.
So the balance then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being intentional in both our actions and our reflections, using our minds to analyze and integrate those experiences into a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Wow. This is a lot deeper than I thought it would be.
Right. It's not just about seeing the world differently. It's about changing how we experience reality itself.
And that's where we're going to pick up next time.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, because we're going to dive even deeper into how awareness can actually change our experience of happiness, success, and fulfillment.
Sounds like we've got a lot more to explore.
We do. We'll see you back here soon for part 2 of this deep dive. Welcome back. We left off talking about how to actually make awareness a part of our lives.
Yeah, going from theory to practice can be tricky.
It does feel kind of overwhelming, right? Like, where do we even begin?
Well, going back to Ira, remember he didn't just decide to be more aware? It was that crazy event that got him thinking differently.
So you're saying we don't need some kind of life crisis to get started?
Exactly. We can shake things up in smaller ways, too.
Like how?
Try a new hobby, travel, or even just talk to someone with different views.
I get it. It's about doing things that challenge our normal way of thinking.
And that's where Yoda comes in, right? Do or do not.
Oh yeah, so it's about action, not just thinking about it.
Exactly. We got to get out of that cave and experience things.
So we need both. The internal stuff from the Gospel of Mary and this action Yoda's talking about.
You got it. It's that back and forth between looking inward and outward.
But what about getting caught up in the doing part? Could we just end up running around without actually learning anything?
Good point. That's where mindfulness comes in.
Okay, so it's not enough to just do. We got to be present while we're doing it.
Yeah, really pay attention to what's happening, how we're feeling.
So it's about being intentional, both in what we do and how we think about it afterwards.
Exactly. It's like creating this feedback loop between experience and understanding.
That's where things like journaling or meditation could be helpful, right?
Definitely. They can help us slow down and process everything.
So it sounds like awareness isn't about reaching some perfect state of awareness.
You got it. It's a journey. It's about constantly growing and changing.
I like that it takes the pressure off.
And remember, there will be ups and downs along the way.
So we got to be patient with ourselves.
Exactly. Everyone's journey is different.
This has been really eye-opening. We've covered a lot.
We have, and it all points to the fact that we have more control over our reality than we think.
But there's still one thing bugging me.
What's that?
We know our perceptions shape our reality, but how does awareness actually change our experience of it? Like, does it make us happier?
Great question, and it's perfect for our final segment, where we'll explore how awareness can transform our experience of happiness, success, and fulfillment.
Okay, so we're back and ready to tackle this last piece of the puzzle. We've talked about how powerful our perceptions can be and how we can work on becoming more aware.
Right.
But now I want to know, how does all this actually affect our lives? Like, does it really change how we experience things like happiness and success?
It's a big question for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's one thing to see things differently, but does that actually translate into, a better life?
Well, if we look back at Ira, he talks about how that intense experience he had really shifted his priorities.
Yeah. In what way?
It wasn't about achievements or possessions anymore. It was about deeper things like connections with people and living by his values.
So awareness isn't just about seeing things more clearly. It's about changing what matters to us.
Exactly. As we become more aware, our ideas about success and happiness can change too.
It's like we might start to care less about what other people think and more about what feels right to us.
Right. It's about finding that contentment that comes from within, not from external things.
So instead of chasing after things that we think will make us happy,
We start to look for that happiness in a different place.
so it's not just about how we see reality, it's about how we experience it too.
You got it. When our inner world and outer world match up, that's when things start to click.
It's almost like awareness unlocks our potential.
I like that. It's about becoming more conscious, more in tune with ourselves.
This whole conversation has been amazing. We've looked at personal stories, ancient philosophy, even Star Wars.
And it all points to the same idea, that we have more power than we think.
So much more. So what's the one thing you hope people take away from all this?
That we don't have to be limited by our old ways of seeing things. We can change, we can grow, and we can create a better reality for ourselves.
That's a powerful message. So if you're feeling inspired right now, what's the first step?
Ask yourself what truly matters to you, what makes you feel alive, and then start making small changes that line up with those values.
And remember, it's a journey. Be patient, celebrate your wins, and keep exploring.
You never know what you might discover when you start shifting your perception.
This has been an incredible deep dive. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep those minds open and keep questioning everything.